But we will get rolling here into what we're calling mailing list mastery. This came up because this is one of the topics that A, we get a ton of questions about, but B, it has probably more impact than anything else on direct mail success. And also, it's one of the biggest stumbling blocks that stops people's great intentions of getting direct mail stuff out the door. So we wanted to try and help with that before it's a problem as best as possible. I see some names that I don't know, so I will give you the quick bio version today. You're not getting the full one. You can watch a previous webinar for that if you want. But my name is Justin Miller. I'm president here at Jurassic Marketing, formerly Profit 911. We actually started as a digital marketing agency and added direct mail as a service offering, I don't know, 5-6 years ago. And now we are 100% a direct mail agency. But that doesn't mean I forgot everything digital. So the two definitely work well together. It's just we advise and serve on direct mail now and not so much on the digital side. And I am the author of the Jurassic Marketing book, which is what kicked off the dinosaur theme and what gave us our current name of Jurassic Marketing. And if you don't have a copy of that and you want one, if you want, you can go to Amazon where I priced it as low as they would allow me to. Or if you don't even want to pay that and you want a free one, just email a staff member here and we're happy to ship you one as our gift for attending today. And I do have more gifts as we go along here. So what we do at Jurassic Marketing is we accelerate small business growth. And the way we do that is winning direct mail campaigns. So we are a provider of direct mail, but more importantly, for small business. So direct mail is a tool that is used by very large companies still very successfully, and they're mailing millions of pieces at a time. We've kind of distilled and boiled that down to systems you can use to mail thousands or tens of thousands at a time and still get good results for a small company that's not going to spend millions of dollars a year on direct mail. So that's where we serve, and that's where the advice is going to be kind of in tune with is that size company. So all right, today, welcome to the data jungle. Here's what we got for you. In addition to some wonderful AI dinosaur graphics, which if you have ever seen a presentation of mine, you know that I just like random AI dinosaur graphics. So, you know, they may be good, may be bad, but they're there. It's dinosaur everything. We're going to talk about how much impact your list selection has on a direct mail campaign success. We're going to talk about the different types of lists and the different sources for them. So not all mailing lists are created equal, and we'll at least get you up to speed on the lingo and language of mailing lists and what to look for. We'll spend a little bit of time talking about list hygiene, which, you know, again, to the outside world, this sounds really strange, but we're going to talk about making sure you have a good, clean list, and we're going to talk about cost implications of that, because sometimes that can make or break whether or not a campaign is profitable for you. We're going to talk about selecting your first list. So those that are new, we're going to talk about that first list. Those that are doing direct mail, hopefully you'll pick up a tip or trick in that section to choose a more impactful list. And then, like I said, we have extended Q&A time. So I expect the presentation portion today to take 25-ish minutes, kind of depends on how deep we get in some topics. And then we'll have the remainder of the hour where I'm available and Tess is available. Tess is our sales and marketing manager, and more of you probably know her name than mine. But we will both be on here until the top of the hour to answer questions. And of course, after that, we will share how we can help. But I'm going to give you good information. I'm going to give you how we do it, regardless of whether or not you use us. And as has become tradition in these webinars, I reward live attendees. So we have our attendee list of everyone that's on right now, and you qualify for an additional reward. So that's cool. So audience poll, if I can get the tool to work, and hopefully I can here. Yes, I can. So in Zoom, you should see a poll right now that's going to help me help you today. And this is, how do you source your mailing list today? And the choices you have are use existing house list, buy compiled list, rent specialty list, or you're not sure, or you're brand new. So give me just a couple of minutes for everyone to weigh in on that, because that will allow me to tweak the content to what people are doing here. All right, give it a couple more seconds and we'll close that out. And the little bars are dancing around for me. I don't know if you can see live results or not on it, but certainly share it here if you can. And then my team that's logged in is like, should I click on it or not? We don't want to skew it. All right, let's end out that poll right now. The results we got are split in thirds. So a third use their existing house list, a third buy compiled lists, and a third are either brand new or not sure. And yes, I realize you could have used multiple and you were forced into one box. And none rent specialty lists, which is also not a huge surprise. We'll talk a little about specialty lists today so you understand what those are. But there is your results again. And I will keep this in my head as we go forward today. And we'll make sure that we're talking about each of these because we're split down the board, which no surprise there. So that was probably the first time I've used a Zoom webinar poll too. So if it didn't show exactly on your screen like I thought it did, that's on me, not on Zoom. All right, today's goal, by 30 minutes, we want you to, number one, know where to dig for the best data. Number two, learn how to keep your list fresh. And number three, I'm going to show you how to pull lists in less than 90 seconds, assuming all tech works well. If not, it'll take longer, but it should be good. Let's talk about how important the list is. And I'm not going to belabor the points today because it's a short presentation, but I could go on and on about some of these bullets for sure. The first question is, out of the overall success of a campaign, there's arguing metrics on how much the list is swaying the results. So I hear 70% sometimes, 41% comes from my friend Brian Kurtz, and I hear 15% sometimes. And you can see the sub bullets there. Direct Mail Association, Direct Marketing Association says 78% of the response is varied based on list quality. I tend to like Brian Kurtz's number of 41%. 41% is the list, 39% is the offer, and 20% is the presentation, cosmetics, timing, and everything else. But regardless of which number you use, as long as it's not 15%, the list is the variable that is pulling the majority of the sway of whether or not something is successful. And the list is often overlooked, and that's why we're doing this webinar today. Also, we're doing it just because we have a lot of repeat questions, and I'm sharing it as efficiently as possible with you. But good list versus bad list, you can expect up to a 6 to 7 times swing in response, even with the same offer if you had a bad list moving to a good list. This is what we call the postage bonfires. If you have good messaging, you got good media with direct mail, but wrong audience. So you kind of got the marketing triangle there, message, audience, and media. We've already picked mail as the media for this example. And let's say you had good copywriting, good offer, sent it to the wrong people. The post office likes you, but that's about it because your money is just going up in flames, which is not anyone's goal. And postage is usually the most expensive component of any direct mail campaign. Unlike email, where it's virtually free, every impression we get here in direct mail land costs a fair amount of money per impression. A list is an easier win than most areas to improve response. So we're going to dig into how to do that. Got a couple scenario examples for you. First, and this is just to get you thinking here, and they're based on true stories, but I didn't give you exact case studies here. So these are similar to things we see over and over. So we're going to take the example of our pediatric dino dentist here. Thank you again, AI. You have two options. You have option one, which is to send an EDDM, which is every door direct mail, meaning like every house in a geographic area, or a zip code blast saying, I want every house in this zip code. That's option one. We send we'll call it a postcard to anyone on that list with an offer to check out the dentist. Option two is we send it to a list that we've identified that the household has kids between the ages of 8 and 17 at home, an income of 90,000 plus, and are within a 5-mile radius of the clinic. Humor me and put in chat which one you would rather do. It's my pulse check to make sure you're still awake in list land, which is a tough hurdle to climb for direct mail. So everything else being equal, would you prefer the zip code blast of every door around the office, or do you want to go for kids, income, and radius? Michelle's going with EDDM. Hope I got a scroll here. Edith's going with number 2. Lester's going with number 2. William's going with number 1. All right, so we got mixed opinions, so this is fun. All right. There is no right or wrong other than tests, but if you come to me and you ask which one you should test first, we typically would go with number 2. The variables are going to be a little cost-based, so later in the presentation, we're going to dig into costs. So option number 1, your list is pretty much free. Like there's no list cost. And the postage is pretty cheap in that option. So anyone that voted for option number 1, probably thinking, okay, the cost per piece is really cheap. We can hit more people, which is a valid argument. Option number 2, the cost for the list is going to be a little higher. And assuming that that profile fits your target patient, demographic and geographic and everything, option 2 is going to be more expensive per piece to get in the mail. Typically, it's going to have a higher response. So you got to weigh that. I typically would go with an option 2 if the mathed for what I was selling. So, all right, let's go to scenario number 2. By the way, there's no right or wrong. There wasn't a test yet, but if you're going to go with gut, I'll tell you what we go with. This is an IT services company. This one is an easier one, so bear with me for the example. So IT service company, number 1, radius search of all companies with 10 plus employees and 10, 20 miles around, whatever the service area is. And they are offering whatever it is they do, servers and data protection and help desk and that kind of fun stuff. Oops. Option number 2, we grab everyone in SIC code 5411, which is grocery stores, and we send an offer specific talking about upgrading your POS system. So option number 1, all companies within the radius 10 plus employees. Option number 2, just the grocerers, and a specific message talking about POS upgrades. In the chat, what are we going with for IT services? Option 1 or option 2 to get the best response percentage? We got to keep you awake. All right, option 2, option 2, option 2. Okay. So this one was a little more deliberate example. However, it's based on what people come to us for. So a lot of times, especially if you've never done direct mail, you don't know what you don't know. And it seems like option number 1 will just tighten up the radius to make it the right amount that we want to send. And yes, we serve a mixed bag of companies, 10 plus employees. But option number 2, if we can dial in the messaging, again, we already have the media picked. So now if we can get the messaging to match the audience, our response percentage is going to go up, assuming that that's what you want to offer them. So focused vertical will usually outpull just demographic data or company data. All right, let's dig into list sources a little bit, which is probably what everyone thought was the whole content area of this, but we do have to talk on a little bit of everything. We are going to talk a little bit about renting lists, buying lists, or building lists. So there's 3 ways to get a list there. We're going to talk a little about compiled and response, what the differences are, what they mean. So if these are new terms to you. And we're going to talk about co-ops and trade groups, which we're going to touch briefly on because most of our clients aren't working in these types of arenas, the co-ops and trade groups arena. But I do want you to know that they exist and how they might impact you. So a couple of terms, compiled versus response. So a compiled list is usually pulled from public data, meaning maybe they had utilities connected at their address, or we got the information from a credit bureau. But it's basic data that we've compiled from somewhere. Maybe it was scraped off a website directory or something like that. Surveys, self-reported data. If your credit card company asks you to update your annual income, there you go. That's where this is eventually getting to, is this type of mailing list. That's what a compiled list is. It's everyone that meets this criteria and we've gathered the public data or it was self-reported somehow. A response list means that they took an action. Maybe they were a buyer of a certain type of product, but someone has provided data that the person took an action. So they had a response of some sort. Most of what we do is compiled lists, but we'll talk through some of the response stuff as well. And there's co-ops and trade groups. So there's some lists that you just can't even get because there's the large players that help each other and they're not going to help you. So, for instance, donation-based organizations. So some of your national charities, they will swap and share donor lists with each other because a donor to cause A is likely to be a donor to cause B. And that's how that game works behind the scenes. So there's some behind the scenes baseball going on that you would never see, never be privy to. But if you're not already in those situations, the chances of you working your way into them is pretty slim unless your house list is already very large itself for your industry. Then you can kind of start to broker and negotiate those deals as one-offs. Rent, buy, or build. Rent means you have the rights to mail this list, one time, and that's it. And you might not even see the list. You might have to use a company like ours to mail it because they're not going to disclose it to you. So the donor list might be that way. Response lists are often that way. Buy, so compiled data you can buy. I want everyone within 10 miles of my office that has 10 plus employees and revenues of blah, blah, blah. You can buy that list. You can mail it as many times as you want. It's yours to do whatever you want after that. And those lists are cheap. And then build is, kind of your internal data. Maybe you've scraped together your website and CRM data and done stuff like that. Then we get into this land of specialty lists. And if you have gone down like the direct response wormholes, the Dan Kennedy wormholes, oftentimes you'll come to my staff really excited about specialty lists, even if it's not the right solution for where you're at and what you're doing at this time. But let's talk through it a little bit. A specialty list is significantly more expensive per name that you buy. So lists are priced based on how many people you want. So if you want 1,000 people, it's this much. If you want 5,000, it's this much. So, but everything else equal, a specialty list is significantly more expensive per name. This is true of all lists, but specialty sometimes more so is accuracy varies. So please be aware in direct mail list world, the data is not 100% accurate. We'll talk about, what is accurate on it, but the more things you layer on, the less accurate the list is going to be. And, they're going through public sources and they're trying to, put your online ad profiles together with this, and they're building a picture of you. These large data providers are. And some of what they get is scary accurate, and some of what they get is wildly wrong. And this is why you have to be okay with a little slop, and you really got to pay attention to your results of your mailing campaigns overall. But do know that there is inaccurate information on there, and it's part of the game, and it's just waste. Examples of specialty lists. Specialty lists are random. There's all kinds of weird stuff. I just pulled like 8 of them here to show you and give you some ideas what on earth I'm talking about. So these are from our specialty sources. We have jet ski owners, casino gamblers, South America cruise travel enthusiasts is very oddly specific, but hey, there's a list for it. Auto owners by manufacturer. So if you want owners within 100 miles of you that own a Honda, maybe you're an auto dealership, you can get that and say, hey, here's some loyalty incentive to come in. So you can do it by manufacturers, and there's some other industries like that as well. Wholesale club members, so like Sam's Club and Costco type members, there's a list of those. Life insurance seekers, there's a lot of seeker lists. So they've gathered people that have shown some sort of intent to buy a product. There's tons in the insurance arena. There's some in the health arenas, but there's seeker lists out there. And then there's another category of at-home type stuff. So home addresses for XYZ. There's a business owners at home. There's guidance counselors at home. There's doctors of this type, lawyer of that type, all at home. So if it's important for you to get the message to their house, maybe you got a better chance of getting read, or you don't have to get past the gatekeeper, there are specific ones for that. John, thank you for liking the dinosaur pictures. I appreciate it. I wasted way too much time on getting them. So specialty list takes a lot of searching and a lot of manual labor to find. So if you want to go down the wormhole and rabbit hole of looking for specialty list, we do it. It is a paid service. You can reach out to our account execs to begin that search for you. You might want to start online just doing some hunting, but absolutely, we can begin that search. But it's not as easy as purchasing a compiled list. All right, back to rent by build. I think we covered this, but rent is one-time use. So the specialty lists in particular are usually one-time use or three-time use. And sometimes when you rent a list, by the way, it doesn't mean you can mail whatever you want. Oftentimes you will have to send the piece that you're going to mail to the owner of the list and get that approved. So the people that have really good mailing lists they've created, they don't want to abuse that list. So they make sure everything works. Again, renting the list, great for specialty responders, but the cost per each name is quite a bit more expensive. Buying compiled lists, you get unlimited mailings, most niches you can find. I'll talk about List Raptor in a moment. That's our tool for gathering these. And then again, you have your house list, which is gold and actually is where you should always start, but you can't scale it. You can't magically have 5 times more clients overnight to have on your house list. So that's often web leads, it's customers, it's people in your circle of referral influence, it's people already in your CRM basically. So there's gold in that list. It's definitely worth marketing to with the direct mail, but it's often limited and you won't, doing that alone, get the accelerated results you're looking for. All right. Refresh cadence. So we've moved into list type. So if you have questions about list type, get them in the Q&A. So when we go to Q&A, I can come back to them while it's fresh in your mind. Go ahead and type it in there. We're going to move into, okay, now I own or I'm renting a list. What do I do with that list? So let's talk about refresh cadence. And we have kind of the rule of 3 here. There's 2 sides. There's heavy mailers and light mailers. I would argue that the vast majority of people that we're talking to, and likely you, are by definition a light mailer. And this is how often we need to update this list. And light mailers, we go like every 3-ish mailings. It depends, kind of how close together those are. But there's time and expense associated with refreshing the mailing list. Heavy mailers, every 3 months. If you're super heavy mailer, it might be, every mailing. But again, this is a balancing act of effort, time, and cost versus improved results. So most of the programs that we run tend to be like 3-part mailing campaigns, tend to be a light enough list that we can grab the list, we can use that, and we can complete the campaign with the same list. In general, that's a good rule for you. List cleansing. Here's where you're going to get some boring postal terms that you probably should know, though. The first one is I'll pull up the whole list and then we'll go through them. CAS, NCOA, duplicate removal, and suppression lists. So this is the world that our pre-press and data department lives in. So CAS certify is checking all the addresses on your mailing list and making sure it's actually a mailable address, meaning like that house number and that street exists and has a mailbox at it. Sounds very obvious, but there's a lot that is not CAS certifiable. And you need to remove those from your list before you mail them, or you're flat out wasting money because that mail is going to come back or it's going to get trashed by USPS. NCOA stands for National Change of Address. So National Change of Address. So a lot of people, when they move, they put new information into the post office, say, hey, I'm moving to this address, and their mail gets forwarded for a period of like 180 days for first-class mail. And then after that, it gets returned for another 180 days. Both of those are bad for you if you're mailing. If you mail to an old address, your best case scenario is it gets forwarded to them. Your worst case scenario is it comes right back to you in the mail with this little yellow tag called a NICSI. Says why it came back to you, and you wasted all that money sending to that name. Before we mail anything, we have to run it through NCOA, and we just send it to the new address right away. We don't have to wait for the post office to do that for us. And if that name doesn't match that address, it kicks it out as well, and you don't mail bad names. Duplicate removal sounds obvious, but like Aunt Linda, she doesn't need 3 copies of your postcard. We get duplicates on lists all the time, and there's a couple of different ways to handle that. Sometimes it's intentional. So maybe you're mailing a business and you have multiple contacts within the same address you want to send to. Okay, make sure we know that when we're scrubbing the list. Most of the time it's unintentional though. You really intended to send one to a household and you happen to have multiple names there. Sometimes that will happen with like medical and health providers. They'll have multiple family members in their database and they really only care to send one piece to that household. So we want to make sure we remove duplicates. It's free money back in your pocket, not mailing to that. And you have suppression lists. So you can alternately make sure you remove current clients if it's a new client promo. There's ways to remove jails and prisoners off there. There's deceased removal. There's all kinds of things you can do in suppression world as well. But if you want a very real cost example of this, it's estimated that 3% is UAA, which is undeliverable as addressed. And if you were mailing 10,000 pieces, you're gonna have at least $500 in postage there, plus the waste of printing, the opportunity cost of not having that money go to a better list, and a brand hit if it got into the wrong hands. So make sure the list is clean. We'll help you with the required postal stuff, but spend the time to go through it. If you are a small volume mailer and you're using your house list, by God, put it in Excel and go through it and clean it first. It's boring, but it's free money to go back into marketing for you. It's just complete waste. We can mail it and we can get return mail that has the update, but that's like just a waste of time and money. All right, so that's my soapbox of clean list. Now, how do we decide what list is best for us? We have to know what on earth we're trying to do. So again, we often get vague questions, our account execs do, of their list questions. Maybe they're specific, but we haven't backed up to the level of, okay, what on earth are we trying to accomplish with this mailing campaign? And it typically falls into 3 categories: either acquisition, reactivation, or upsell or cross-sell. And they're all going to drive different ways of selecting lists. So make sure before you play around getting a mailing list or seeing what's possible, you decide what you're trying to accomplish. Let me say that again because it's very important. Know what you want to accomplish before you see what's possible. We often have consultations where it goes astray and it goes to what can you do, and exploring the 8 bajillion services we can provide rather than focusing on the couple that will move the needle for what you want to do. So mission before tactic. All right, now deeper in the weeds, 1 layer deeper. Selects. So select is a criteria for your list, and you stack multiple ones together. So common selects. There's 5 of them. There's geography, which is just, zip code, radius around an address, a state, a county, something like that. Second is demographic and firmographic. So this is incomes, ages, employee count on the firmographic business side, revenue on the business side. And there are a ton of criteria for this to play with. Third is industry. Again, if we can niche our marketing to a vertical, we stand a better chance of getting a better message to them. So we can search by SIC code or NAICS codes for B2B type stuff. Fourth is a life event or buying trigger. We can't always get this for every campaign, but it answers the why now question. So, okay, why now is this person going to respond to this? So examples of this would be new homeowners, new movers, vehicle of a certain age, house of a certain age, software renewal 12-month period, like something that's time-based that tells us right now this person's more likely to be in the market or receptive to our message. And then finally, suppression flags, like I said, existing customers, maybe you have credit score as a suppression. Maybe we don't want low credit scores for whatever we're selling, but you can remove people with that 5th select. So those are your 5 must-haves. I went through fast, but I'm going to show you the tool that you can play around with them. And hopefully we have some Q&A time for specifics. So you want to start broad and then start layering filters on. And this is a balancing act. This is a balancing act between how many people are on the list versus how specific it is. Because you have to have enough people on the list in order to even have a chance of success. So you don't want to go too specific. The other thing to keep in mind is that the more selects you have on there, the less accurate the data. Because again, there's inaccuracies in everything. And if we've piled 10 different criteria on there, there's 10 more chances for an inaccuracy. So really try and think of what those 2, 3, 4 selects are that make the most difference and stick to those. All right, List Raptor demo. So here is going to be your 90-second demo of getting a mailing list. So this is buried on our website in the menu, or you can just go to listraptor.com, which is a direct link. Please don't all go right now because I don't want it to crash. But you can hunt mailing lists on our website for free until you purchase them. And I'll just give you a couple examples real quick here. First step is individual versus business. So we're going to choose individual. You have a couple of specialty categories buried in here. Most of this is compiled though. You do have new homeowners, new movers. We're just going to go with consumers though. And we're going to go next step, geography. And let's just go, I'm going to go the entire state of Illinois where I'm at. All right, and if you look on the right, you're going to see every time we add a select, it goes down a little bit. So now we're at 5.2 million people on the list. Obviously, too many to mail. I'm happy to do it if you want to, but probably too many to mail. And now the rest is kind of depend on what you really want to do, but let's do some of the common ones. So we're going to go single family houses. Let's pretend we're a home services company. We want people that have been there. Let's go 10 plus years. So maybe we're going for remodel specifically. And we need to make sure they have some money. So, I don't know. It's Illinois, 150 to 250 plus. And obviously we want homeowners, not renters. That might be enough for a campaign for a home service provider. Obviously, it still needs to be a big home service provider because we're still at 327,000. But again, I chose the entire state of Illinois as the geography I'm serving. So that might be right in there. Then you tell it how many off that list you want to buy. So, we're all in today. We want the entire list. And you can see your list cost is $9,800 for those 300,000. Let's back it off to 10,000. And you'll see the list cost is $400. So that is the List Raptor tool. Then you could preview. Preview blurs out some things, but should show you enough data. You can tell if this is really what you wanted or not. It's probably mad because it's 300,000 piece list, but it'll blur out the names and a little bit of the address, but it's going to show me enough to here. I can say, okay, yeah, they're Illinois. Yep, that's what I was looking for. And then you can move through the buying process if you want to buy that list. Same on the business side. Business has some different selects. But that's compiled list. It's that easy to buy. You can have it done in 90 seconds. Try not to get too crazy in the world of what can I do, but that's a really good tool for kind of structuring. Is there enough people to justify with these criteria doing this campaign in the area you serve? So some of you are going to be national in scope and are going to focus down on the client by some different things besides geography. Some of you are going to be more local and geographic's going to be your primary driver. But play around with that. That's a cheap, easy way to get a compiled list. And I believe our markup isn't even really working on that right now. So that's pretty close to the actual cost of those. We don't make much off that. All right, a couple more slides here, then we'll open up the Q&A. Again, feel free to put the questions in there. Let's talk about the record cost, meaning purchasing the list versus postage waste. Compiled records, as you just saw a couple examples there, typically between 6 and 12 cents a name is what you're going to pay for a compiled record. Compare that to postage for mailing a bad address, which depends what type of postage. But 55 cents-ish plus the actual printing and everything else. And very quickly you see why, if you can get your data cheap enough, it makes sense to do so and to purchase lists here and more accurate lists at that. postage is very misleading. I mean, if you're mailing it yourself, it's over 70 cents just for postage, but you actually have to print stuff and copyright and all that fun stuff too. So by all means, spend the time dialing in the list, if nothing else. And remember, the data is not always perfect. You're looking for good enough and you're tracking results and you're always testing. That's kind of the goal with that. John's having trouble with, I think, List Raptor. Yeah, there's a couple of security things sometimes you got to turn on for lists, but we can help you through that as well with one of our account managers if you can't get it working on your own. All right, quick reward for those of you being on here. Your mission is step 1. I got a freebie for you, and this is for live attendees only, so you had to be on like the registration list. But if you have a house list and you want us to do the CAS certification and the move updates, we will do that for free as our gift to you for being on this, and that's regardless of whether you're going to mail with us or not. Obviously, we love it if you do, but there's no pressure on that. There is a couple of account setup things for us to be able to do that. The post office has a form you have to sign off on so that we can release the move update information and the new addresses. But if you have an older list or you've never cleansed it, we're happy to do that for you before you mail your first one. Max 25,000 records, please. Number 2, write your mission. So again, the categories of what you're trying to accomplish. Know if we're acquiring, if we're upselling, what are we doing here? And pick the 3 most important selects to your campaign. And then number 3, visit List Raptor or the link that Tess has in there, just JurassicMarketing.com, and you'll see it in the menu under mailing list. Sounds like there's some confusion on the link itself. I swear it's on the menu on our website, so you should be able to get to it. But that's your mission. That's your freebie. Quick 2-minute commercial. You can tune out if you don't want the commercial, or if you don't have Q&A, you can actually completely shut out at this point. But I'll tell you a little about what we do, and then we'll open up the Q&A here. So again, all we do all day long is we help businesses grow by executing winning direct mail campaigns. Very tight-knit focus here. What it looks like working with us is pretty formulaic. Starts with a consult, free of course. We dig into what you're wanting to do, what you're wanting to achieve, if direct mail is a fit or not. That's the discussion we're having is, will this media potentially work for you? What are the caveats? What should we try first? After that, we enter into a service agreement, and we've clarified exactly what we're going to do first. Gather all the information, including the list, your branding stuff, get it over to our production team. They physically print, mail, stuff the envelope, stamp them, all that fun stuff. We can report back to you on delivery. You report back to us on response, and we work on optimizing it, and we go round and round and round, and we become part of your team. So that's all there is to the actual process behind the scenes. What makes us a little bit different is kind of baked into our company here. Number 1 is, again, we're happy to start with you if you've never mailed before. So we are often designing campaigns from scratch for someone that's never mailed. But we also have sophisticated mailers working with us as well. We're happy to meet you where you're at and take you to that next step. Direct response is baked into what we do. So, if you're a Dan Kennedy, Gary Halbert fan, anything like that, this is the world that I came from and the company's built around. And there's a lot of tactical things about how we present our mail pieces, what they look like, that it's already just baked in there. You don't even need to know it. We know how to boost the response with that. And number 3, we're on your team. We want to have those honest discussions of what's working, what's not working, what's an experiment, what's proven, and continually to evolve that and make it better every time. And finally, we got our on-time guarantee. So once we have the list and everything, we'll give you the turnaround time, and it's in the post office hands by the day we say it is, or everything is back in your hands except for the postage costs. So we put our money with our mouth when it comes to actually producing the physical pieces. And one more freebie for you. So again, we'll clean your list for free. Here's a second one for you, is if you purchase from List Raptor, and then you want to mail to that list, and it's a new list, new campaign we're talking about here, we will take whatever you paid for the list and apply it to your mailing. And that's a pretty good gift, because that is a third-party service, List Raptor is, and it costs us very close to what you see on the screen. But we want you to see success with direct mail, so you come back and mail more. Our end goal is to see you succeed. It's to help you succeed, and it's to become part of your marketing team. Obviously, if you're winning with direct mail and you have capacity, you usually come back and mail more to further increase client flow. So happy to do that. And we're going to move into Q&A. So let me get out of presentation. All right. Tess, you got access to Q&A. Can you kind of lead them in here, and I'll try and bang them down?
Yep. So it looks like Lester already got one in. Hi, Lester, by the way. How's it going? Yeah, he went ahead and got one in there at the beginning of it, if you want to start with that one.
You can read it because I have chat open and everything else right now.
Okay. Lester says our client who was unable to join live today, she was unable to, is considering purchasing a mailing list. She was asking, number one, what are the best practices for ordering a mailing list? Number two, how to get the list. Is that something you can offer? Number three, best place to order a mailing list to narrow down the targeting of the list, locations, demographics, etc. I think we did that.
Perfect. So
what do you think, Lester? Did that help?
Hopefully we did. We'll recap it real quick though. So again, know if you're going response versus compiled. If you're going compiled, we got our list tool right on our website for you to play with, so you don't even have to harass our sales reps here. And best place. So the dirty truth behind the scenes is there's really only like less than a handful of companies that really provide this data. So the data is going to be very similar regardless of where you actually purchase that list at the end of the day. And oftentimes what the data provider is concerned about is does the address exist? So you have to know that, again, there's that little bit of waste in there, and not everything's going to be perfectly accurate or up to date. If you're mailing businesses, some of them likely went out of business. This is part of the game, and it's going to be across the board everywhere.
Perfect.
All right, cool.
Yep. So it looks like that did answer questions.
Oh, we had late arrivals. Our attendee count went up. So we should have some questions then.
Yeah. Anybody else have questions?
If anyone wants to like unmute, you can raise your hand and I'll click allow you to talk. That's fine too. If we don't have questions, we will close out here in a couple minutes. Or we can talk about dinosaurs.
I feel like we get a lot of questions on mailing lists. I'm surprised we're not getting more here. Maybe you just explained everything perfectly. Good job.
If only it worked that way. Only it worked that way. If you do have a question that's specific and you're not sharing it because you don't want anyone else on the call hearing it, by all means you can email, text, call our sales team, whatever you want to do. They're happy to help you out with that as well.
Most definitely.
It's crickets. So
I know.
Going once, going twice. I think we're gonna close this thing out.
Oh, here you go. Michelle's got a question.
Going to be at Summit. Nope, not this year. My travel is cut back a lot. All right, we're going to close this out. I hope you all got good nuggets. I hope you'll take me up on the freebies. Like I said, if you want free list scrub, it's a couple of steps that are a little bit of a pain to get you initially set up, but you only have to do that once a year, and then we can help you.
They're not that painful.
All right, Tess has to deal with it. So if she says it's not painful, it's not painful. Again, if you have any specific project you'd like to discuss, we're glad to do that. Just reach out. You can go to JurassicMarketing.com, or you can call or text 309-767-0004. I hope to see you all in the future. By the way, just a hint, but I hear we might have a live event coming up about direct mail. Seeing the 3 people that jumped off, they missed out on that. So if you have, I can't tell a whole lot, but if you have interest in attending in-depth direct mail event, you might want to ping one of us and we'll keep you in the loop on that. But that's all. Wish you all a good week and hope to see you at an in-person event in the future.
Thank you, everyone.